6 months later, we witness the beautiful culmination of Emma and Jack's journey as they discover that true love doesn't require perfection, just the courage to be authentically yourself. Pour the champagne, darlings, because it's time to toast to love, laughter, and happily ever afters that are anything but boring. Chapter 13. Perfect Harmony. 6 months after the Friendsgiving getaway, Emma stood on the balcony of her New York apartment, watching the sun set over the city skyline. The warm spring air carried the scent of blooming flowers from the small herb garden Jack had insisted on planting.
For your stress relief cooking sessions,
he'd said with a wink. A smile tugged at Emma's lips at the memory. So much had changed in such a short time, and yet everything felt right in a way she'd never experienced before. The sound of off-key singing drifted from the kitchen, followed by the clatter of pots and pans. Emma's smile widened. Jack was attempting to cook dinner again, a weekly tradition he'd started to expand his skill set beyond coding and charm. As if on cue, Jack's voice called out,
"Em, can you come taste this sauce? I think I might have cracked the code this time."
Emma chuckled, warmth blooming in her chest. This was her life now, filled with laughter, surprises, and yes, the occasional culinary disaster. She made her way to the kitchen, pausing in the doorway to take in the scene. Jack stood at the stove, wooden spoon in hand, a smear of tomato sauce on his cheek. His Kiss the Cook apron, a gag gift from his team at the non-profit, was covered in various splatters. The kitchen looked like a war zone, but Jack's eyes were alight with determination and joy.
"Okay, Gordon Ramsay,"
Emma teased, approaching him.
"let's see what you've conjured up."
Jack grinned, offering her the spoon. As Emma tasted the sauce, which was actually quite good this time, she marveled at how seamlessly Jack had integrated into her life, and she into his. True to his word, Jack had moved to New York and started his non-profit. Emma had watched with pride as he poured his passion and drive into making a real difference in people's lives. He worked long hours sometimes, but unlike before, he always made time for them. Movie nights, surprise lunch dates at the hospital, lazy Sunday mornings. Jack was present for it all. And the best part? He was wholly, authentically himself through it all. The driven entrepreneur who could spend hours refining his app to better serve patients. The goofy prankster who had the entire pediatric ward in stitches with his terrible dad jokes during charity visits. The caring partner who held her after tough days and celebrated her victories as if they were his own.
Earth to Emma.
Jack's voice broke through her reverie.
Is the sauce that life-changing? Should I alert the media?
Emma laughed, setting down the spoon to wrap her arms around his waist.
"It's perfect,"
she said softly, meaning far more than just the sauce. Jack's expression softened, understanding the weight behind her words. He tucked a stray strand of hair behind her ear, his touch sending the same shivers down her spine it always had.
"You know,"
he said, his tone playful but his eyes sincere,
"I think I finally figured out the most disruptive technology of all."
Emma raised an eyebrow, playing along.
"Oh? Do tell, Mr. Innovation."
Love.
Jack said simply.
Specifically, our love. It's completely disrupted my life in the best way possible. Revolutionized my entire operating system.
Emma felt her heart swell. This was the Jack she'd fallen for, earnest and playful, tech geek and hopeless romantic all in one.
"Well,"
she replied, fighting back happy tears.
"I think this particular technology has a market size of exactly 2. And I'm not sharing with any venture capitalists."
Jack laughed, pulling her closer.
Good, because I'm planning on a lifetime exclusive contract.
As their lips met in a tender kiss, Emma felt the last piece of her heart slot into place. This was what she'd been afraid of for so long. This vulnerability, this openness. But now she understood that in opening herself up to Jack, she hadn't lost herself. She'd found a fuller, richer version of herself. Later that evening, as they sat on the balcony enjoying their slightly overcooked but made with love dinner, Emma looked at Jack. He was animatedly describing his latest idea for the app, his free hand gesticulating wildly, eyes bright with enthusiasm. In that moment, Emma saw all the versions of Jack she'd come to know and love. The driven visionary, the playful jokester, the caring partner, all harmoniously coexisting in this wonderful, complex man who had chosen to share his life with her. And she realized that she, too, had evolved. The Emma who had arrived at that Friendsgiving getaway, guarded, isolated, afraid to connect, was still a part of her. But now that Emma coexisted with one who could laugh freely, take risks, and love deeply. As the stars began to twinkle above the city lights, Emma leaned her head on Jack's shoulder, a contentment she'd never known before settling over her. They'd faced their fears, overcome their internal struggles, and emerged stronger, both as individuals and as a couple. This wasn't a fairy tale ending. There would still be challenges, disagreements, moments of doubt. But Emma knew now that they could face anything together, because in each other they'd found not just love, but partnership, growth, and the courage to be their truest selves. Jack turned to her, his expression soft in the fading light.
Penny for your thoughts, Dr. Rossi?
Emma smiled, intertwining her fingers with his.
Just thinking about how perfect this is. All of it. Us.
Jack squeezed her hand gently.
You know, for a couple of imperfect people, we do make a pretty perfect team.
As the city hummed around them and the stars shone above, Emma couldn't have agreed more. This was their story. Not flawless, not without obstacles, but perfectly, beautifully theirs. And she wouldn't have it any other way.